Hey VA fam, Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. You can save up to 45% on Dell computers with the Windows 11 Pro and get an easy start to your workday. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Again, that's 877-ASK-DELL. Hey, VA fam, it's Mandi here with another episode of the VA Q&A. Y'all, listen, talk to us. Tell us about what you're going through with your finances, with your career. We love to get y'all's questions. I know I keep saying we, but it's just me for now. Tiffany will be back. Who knows when, but someday. Fingers crossed, send her your love and virtual hugs and all of that. But in the meantime, I am here. Mandi Money is here to answer your questions. And you can submit a question to the show by going to our website, brandambitionpodcast.com, submitting a question there. You can also go to Instagram. A lot of our questions come through IG. We are at Brand Ambition Podcast on IG. Remember, you can remain anonymous. You can tell us your business, but you don't have to attach your name to it, okay? And remember, of course, we are your financial girlfriends. I'm your financial bestie, but not your financial advisor. So this advice is like lowercase a advice. This is just off the top of the dome here, okay? Answering these questions, trying to give y'all some guidance and some advice. But of course, you've got to do what's in your best personal interest, what feels right to you, what's right for your personal financial situation or your career situation. And we can never have all the information, right? So take these answers with a giant fat grain of Salt Bay salt, okay? But let's dive on in. First question from IG. We'll call this listener Sam. Sam says, what is better, renting or buying a house? Oh, Sam, I feel like this is the perennial question on everyone's mind all of the time. And it kind of depends on a couple of different things. One, it depends on and I will say the economy, but also the economy in your area, the local housing economy. And financially, the second huge contributing factor to whether it makes sense to rent or buy a house is what do you want to do and what makes sense for your financial picture. I think what I love about a lot of the advice and conversations around homeownership these days is there's a lot more appetite to not force people into like prescribing to this vision of, oh, I need to get a house, I have to be a homeowner in order to build wealth or to be a proper adult, right? That's just BS and we all know it. When it comes to deciding whether to buy or rent, and by the way, this was me 4 or 5 years ago when we bought this house, I was exactly where you are. And I was like, what is the right decision? This is very stressful. We ultimately decided to stop renting and buy a house. And I'll kind of talk you through my train of thought there. At the time, in our local economy, there were some houses that we could get at an affordable price that fit the bill for what we wanted out of our lifestyle. We wanted to be close to the city. So I live outside of New York now. We wanted to be close enough to the city to commute to work, which is like LOL. No one does that anymore. Oh, that's not true. A lot of people do. But yes, we were concerned about being close enough to the city so our commute wouldn't be hell. Finding a home that we could put our own stamp on with doing our own, remodels, renovations, things like that. Because of course, we were always watching HGTV, which is what you do when you're thinking about buying a house. And then you think you're a property brother and you can just, renovate it on your own. But I digress. So we wanted to find a place that had to be the right fit for us, location wise, so close to the city, not too far. We also wanted something within our price point. So we got really clear on how much we were willing to pay. I kind of went off of what mortgage payment can I afford? Okay. And we decided like something near or a little bit over our rent would be doable. And that was comfortable for us to be able to pay with one income. I always like to be prepared and kind of think, well, what if one of us loses our job? At the time, we were both working full time for businesses. So it was possible, right? And my husband works for the government. So really, I tried to base it off of his salary because, government job, so stable, blah, 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 all that. But anyway, I tried to come up with a monthly budget and then kind of work my way into how much house we could afford from there. And when I tell you, you think you can afford something and then you forget about property taxes, right? So, oh man, the property taxes here are wild. So, I would definitely also factor in like what's your total household expense for the month? So, how much mortgage could you afford? And then kind of try to get a sense of what property taxes are like in your area too, to give you a realistic picture of what your housing costs could be. And then from there, once we knew kind of how much house we could afford and what kind of house we wanted and where we wanted it at, then it was just about really whittling down the list of options and filtering it down. And the good thing about being so cheap in an extremely expensive market like New York is that our options were very few, right? So once we found a house that fit our budget and the other sort of metrics, then we stopped renting and we bought the house. Okay. That is what I can say. It made financial sense for us. It made sense for what we needed. It was a house that fit our needs. And those are the reasons that we got it. And for no other reasons. Could we control the economy? No. That's why I think it really is important to only buy what you can afford. And it's true, since the housing crisis of the early 2000s, banks and lenders have gotten a lot better because they've been forced to by legislation and by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. But they have been forced to get a lot better themselves at only letting people borrow what they can afford to repay. So it's a lot harder to get too much more house that you can afford these days. That being said, like you can still like even though your lender says you're approved for X amount of money, it doesn't mean you have to buy a house for that much money. Okay? It's okay to get the smaller house for a little bit less and give yourself that wiggle room. And for us, especially, I didn't know 4 or 5 years ago that I'd be launching my own business, but I sure as hell was relieved to know. And that's part of the reason why I was able to step out on my own, when I did, is because our housing expenses were not such a massive part of our household budget that I felt chained or kind of locked down to having this particular job at that particular salary. We gave ourselves that flexibility. And I'm so grateful that we did, because you may have the job that pays, X amount of money now, but what if in 5, 10 years from now, you're not happy anymore? Or you want to take a pay cut to do something else, or you want to launch your own business or whatever. You want to buy a camper van like everyone's doing and go, around the country living out of a camper van. Not my style, but, to each his own. You have that flexibility if you create a budget that gives you some room, okay? Some room to wiggle around. What else can I say about renting or buying? That's it. Rent if you want to rent, and buy when you want to buy. Pay attention to what's happening in your local economy. Pay attention to, and if you're in a place right now since the pandemic where home prices have just been insane and nothing seems affordable and you can't find a house that ticks all your boxes, then just wait, or potentially pursue homeownership in another area. But I definitely wouldn't want anyone to buy a house before they're ready, or a house that doesn't make sense for their financial goals. You're the one who wants to live in the house at the end of the day, and you're the name's going to be on the mortgage payment each month. So that decision has to come from you and no one else. Hey, BA fam, you know what we think around here at Brown Ambition? Money management should not be unmanageable. That's where M1 Finance comes in. M1 is a sleek, fully integrated financial platform that lets you manage your cash flow with a few taps. It's simple, powerful, and free to start. M1 makes it easy and quick to make every dollar do more. And because they charge 0 commission fees, that means there's more dollars that get to work for you. Build your portfolio quickly with an intuitive interface, or get started quickly with pre-built expert portfolios that speak to your goals, risk tolerance, and investing style. Then stick to your strategies with auto invest and automatic rebalancing when you buy into your portfolio. Turns out the best broker you've ever have could live right in your pocket. Just keep in mind that investing involves risks, including the risk of loss. Head to m1finance.com/ambition to get started. That's M like Mandra, the number 1, finance.com/ambition. M1 Finance LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. Oh, the boys are out today. This question comes from listeners Brian. The men's are here. All right. So Brian says, let's say someone's credit is under 600. Would there be any benefits to them being added as an authorized user on another's credit card account whose credit score is over 700? Would there be any negative credit effects in doing so to the person whose credit score is over 700? Okay, so we've got two hypothetical people here. Someone's got poor credit, their credit is under 600, and then they're wanting to become an authorized user on someone's account who's got great credit, 700 and above. And so the question is like, well, basically, what are the benefits of that? And then is there any risk to the person with good credit to have someone piggyback on them who has crappy credit? Okay, fun question. So let's talk about being an authorized user. So there's a couple of ways to share credit responsibility and credit card usage with another person: authorized user or joint account holder. The main difference between those two is that when you're an authorized user, you're able to use the card, but you don't actually have ultimate responsibility for the payments. A joint account holder is when two people have joint responsibility for the payments. So if one person stops making payments, the other one, they're going to come for you. Okay. So authorized user, the benefit of that is it's less risk for the person with poor credit to piggyback onto someone with good credit. Less risk meaning they're not on the hook for those payments. And if the person who actually is the primary account holder has issues making payments, they're not going to come after the authorized user. And the benefit of being an authorized user, which is this person's getting at, is it can actually help you improve your credit score so long as the main account holder is making their payments on time. So this is the tricky thing here. You're really trusting that you're piggybacking and you're like attaching yourself to someone who's going to be responsibly using their credit card. If they start to not responsibly use their credit card, that could have a negative impact, of course, on they themselves, but also on you as an authorized user, because that credit card behavior could be reported on your credit history as well. This kind of reporting will change by credit issuer. So before you become an authorized user, I would actually call up the credit card company and ask them, how do you guys treat authorized users? Do you report positive? And of course, they're going to report positive behavior to credit bureaus, but what about the negative behavior? Because that can actually change by issuer. So definitely call them up and get the details on that. Now, would there be any negative effects or risk to the person with higher credit to have someone piggyback on their account who has poor credit? Well, as an authorized user, you are giving that person the ability to use your credit card. So yeah, there's a huge risk there. They have to be able to use it responsibly. And ultimately, if they screw things up and they charge a bunch of crap to the credit card and they can't afford to pay you for their part of the bill, then you're on the hook for that. So what I tend to see is people, in relationships or like a parent-child relationship where an authorized credit card user makes more sense. I mean, hopefully you can trust your kid, but yeah, there's a risk there. And I would say if you have an authorized user on your account, you got to watch them like a hawk, baby. Okay. It's your credit on the line at the end of the day. So it's helpful for the person who needs you to improve their credit. And I think it's a great, a tool and a strategy for that, but there's got to be mutual respect and trust. And I think the person whose name is on that bill at the end of the month, do not take your eye off of that credit card bill and make sure that you nip any shenanigans in the bud right away, because you're the one holding the bag at the end of the day. Okay? When it comes to personal hygiene, honestly, who has time to read that long list of ingredients on the back of the bottle? Some ingredients I can't even pronounce. If you're like me, BA fam, and you care about what goes on your body, then it's time to try Native personal care products like I did. Now, they're best known for their aluminum-free deodorant. That's how I first came on to Native back in the day. I found them at Target. I said, this looks like legit aluminum-free deodorant and it's actually going to work. Trust me, it does. Native wants you to help practice safe sweats, which is why they keep their ingredients list bare naked with ingredients you understand, like coconut oil, shea butter, and baking soda. Get 20% off your first order by going to nativedeo.com/brownambition or use promo code Brown Ambition at checkout. That's nativedeo.com/Brown Ambition, or use promo code Brown Ambition at checkout for 20% off your first order. All right, BA fam, it's Mandy. I am back with our third and final question for the BAQA this week. We have got a question from Brittany. Brittany says, "Hey, I'm new to the podcast, but I've definitely been binging. I paid off my student loans in 2019, saved up and bought my first home, and now I'm thinking about my overall financial health and trying to build wealth. On a recent episode, you mentioned you have a financial advisor. Could you talk about where we should get one, how much I should spend on them, and how often I should meet them? I tried one and it really didn't work. Then I found another one that has a flat fee of $1,250, which for someone who's trying to build wealth feels counterintuitive. I would love some advice." Okay, Brittany, I get this question a lot. And you know what? Do I have a financial planner? Yes. But do I think that everyone needs one? No. Even I don't need one sometimes. I mean, I'm sure my financial advisor and planner would tell me like, yeah, you need one, but I don't really think that everyone needs them. I think what was helpful for me and the reason I got one about when did I meet Helen? Like 5 years ago, is because my husband and I were thinking about getting engaged. We knew we were going towards marriage and wanting to combine our, financial pictures together. And we were kind of like not speaking the same language about our finances. I mean, 10, 11 years into our relationship now, I just know that we're two fundamentally different people, and we decided to make life really difficult for ourselves by choosing someone so different to us. But what really helped me was having a financial planner to kind of be that mediator between the two of us and to help kind of like make things less, I don't know, it just made our conversations easier to have. We would schedule a time with Helen. We would have a question, about saving for the wedding, or I know we talked to Helen when we were thinking about buying our first home, and it just kind of made it, we had like a referee in the mix, and it helped my husband feel more heard, because when you're married to Mandy Money or you're dating Mandy Money, it can feel a little bit like I take a lot of like air out of the room because I live and breathe and eat and sleep this stuff, which made it more challenging for him to feel like, his ideas mattered and things like that, which I understand looking back now. So that is why we brought in a financial planner. For a lot of people, let's talk about what's the point of a financial planner and what can they actually do. So most financial planners can be really helpful in kind of assessing where you're at with your net worth. So how much assets versus liabilities do you have? And then helping you sort of strategize how to increase your net worth. So how can we get our debt paid down? What can we do to be saving more and increase our cash flow so that we have more money to save and invest? Make some suggestions on how much to contribute to different accounts. And if you need someone to kind of help you just get the nice foundation for financial success set up, that's where a financial planner can be helpful. Another thing, and this is where I kind of suspect this flat fee of $1,250 is coming in, is financial planners can give you like a full plan, which kind of gives you like your goal for how much you want to have saved and invested for retirement and things like that. And that's more like, here's you're going to download a lot of information from you, and then they'll like give you this plan. I've had one of those plans done, not by Helen, but by a previous financial planner. I actually got it through, I was a personal finance journalist, and I was using a service called LearnVest, which is now not even around anymore, but they had a financial planner, and I just decided to use them kind of for research to see what it was like. And I got one of those big financial plans. And when I tell you, I haven't looked at that thing, I don't even know since when. Also, I was making, I don't know, $45,000 at the time. And it just, a lot of that plan it didn't stay like accurate for long. My career was just progressing. I was making these big leaps in my pay. And that plan made sense for a single 24-year-old, making 45, 50K a year. But it definitely didn't make sense for me a few years down the line. So, I would just make sure you really understand what it is that you're getting with an investment like that. The financial planner that I have, we basically just pay for the sessions. When I decide I need a session, I'll book one and then we pay. And it probably amounts to a couple of times a year. And how do you decide how much you should meet with them? That's really up to you. And it's really up to what kinds of goals you have and how much support you need in achieving those goals. And I think that's maybe not that's the answer that, people would like because they just want me to tell them what to do, right? But I can't do that. It really depends on you and your personality. For myself, I work better if I have sort of like a big call and then I can like execute, do XYZ and then I'll get it done and then, see you in 6 months or whatever. So that works for me. If you're someone who's got more of a complex financial picture, maybe you have children, you have a mixed family, you've got some big goals, coming up, big career changes coming up. You may want to have a chat with a financial planner, once a quarter or once every other month or maybe even once a month. It all depends. Ultimately, like how much you're willing to, I mean, it will cost money, right? This is someone's time. But I think what you should get is an upfront expectation of what does a 1 hour call with you look like? What is the goal for that call? What am I going to get out of that call? And because there's so many more independent financial advisors now, financial planners, they have their own way of doing things. So unfortunately, it's not as easy to compare kind of apples to apples. When I was searching for a financial planner, I remember we interviewed probably 3 different planners until we found the one that we felt was the best fit for us. And there wasn't really a strategy there. It was just kind of who did we think fit, like who do we both like? Because this is 2 of us deciding who could we afford and all of that. So all that is to say, it's what you're doing right now is the work that it takes to find the right financial planner for yourself. It is to work with different people and see how it goes, talk to different people until you find the right fit. And I know Tiffany has also in the past talked about her own journey to find the right financial planner, and she interviewed several people. So it's not easy work, and it's not as easy as going on like a ZocDoc and getting the best reviewed gynecologist. There's just, maybe this is a business idea, but yeah, there's no like easy way to gauge the success of financial planners or like who's best for you. You kind of have to do a lot of the legwork yourself. You can definitely ask for referrals from friends and family, and people who who have had a good experience with their planner. What else can I say about that? Oh, right. Where did I find Helen? So I found Helen through XY Planning, which is the XY Planning Network. And at the time, they were really focusing on Gen X, Gen Y, which I think they still do. They have a lot of fee-only planners there, and fee-only planners will charge you a set fee for their services. So like I said, when I have a call with Helen, I pretty much know what it's going to cost me and all of that. So everything is pretty transparent. And also, if you want investment advice, like if you want someone to tell you where to put things and give you a plan for that, that's an additional level of service, which some financial planners can help you with if they're a registered investment advisor. So ask those questions too, and also ask what the fees are for those services. So I know when I go to Helen and I'm like, okay, give us advice on how to diversify our investments. We've been doing things on autopilot for a while. What's your advice? I know that's going to cost me more to get that kind of advice from her. So I just kind of ask, what's that going to cost me? And move from there. Okay. I hope that's helpful, Brittany. Thank you so much for listening. And you're a new listener, so welcome to the show. Thank you so much for supporting us. And that wraps up this week's BA Q&A. Thank y'all so much. Hit us up at brownambitionpodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, you can also go to our website, brownambitionpodcast.com, submit a question there, or go to IG. We are at Brown Ambition Podcast on the gram.